Here are 23 upgrades that will make you faster. First up are the essentials. I've got 5 upgrades that you absolutely must do to your bike, and they are going to have the biggest impact on your cycling. And as a bonus to these ones, they're pretty cheap, these first upgrades. Next up are going to be the upgrades that you can do to yourself. So things that you can buy that go on you. Third category is upgrades that you're going to buy directly for the bike itself. And then my final category is the super niche category where you're spending lots and lots of money for very teeny up gains. Finally, before we get started, I'm going to have the estimated watts or time savings up in the corner here for each individual upgrade. It's just an estimate. It's going to vary on conditions and person to person and bike to bike. And finally, if I miss any, please do let me know in the comments down below. Let's get started on the essentials. The first on my essentials list is tyres. These make such a difference to your cycling. Depending on what tyre your bike comes stocked with, you could be saving anywhere from 2 at the very minimum to maybe about 14, 15 watts depending on the tyres your bike comes stocked with. So there are many great options out there. Continental GP5000s, the Vittoria Corsa Pros here, the Pirelli P0 Races. They're all very fast tyres with a decent enough amount of puncture protection. Generally more people puncture because the tread's starting to wear thin on their tyres. So if your tyres are new enough, you're not that likely to puncture. So you might as well go for some very, very fast tyres and make your cycling experience better. Now you can get even faster tyres than that, such as these, the Continental GP5000 TTRs or the Vittoria Corsa Pro Speed. However, they are quite niche for things like time trial bikes and pure racing, where the puncture resistance is less and you are at a bit more risk there. So for normal road riding, I tend to stick to that one tier down, not time trial tyre, but fast race tyre. My next upgrade is actually wider tyres. For places like here in the UK, a wider tyre is genuinely faster. As the road surface gets rougher and rougher here in England, a wider tyre is going to skip and jump over less bumpy roads basically. So it's actually going to make the ride smoother and faster. Generally speaking here in the UK, I recommend like the minimum tyre width is 30mm or a measured 30mm. One thing I would recommend though is having a wide rim though, to make sure that the rim is wider than the tyre. Then there's practically no aerodynamic penalty. Or if there is, it's very, very minimal. But you get better rolling resistance gains from that wider tyre over the rougher roads. Those of you that live in countries with better roads, you could probably go narrow with much less punishment. And that brings me on to upgrade number 3, and that is what you pair your tyres with. So nowadays, even from switching from a Butyl to a TPU inner tube, you're very likely saving in the region between 4 to 6 watts over the 2 tyres in rolling resistance. That's pretty awesome for a dirt cheap upgrade. And if you want to go even faster again, Tubless is even faster than a TPU tube. Again, about another 2 watts, 1 watt per tyre, 1 watt per wheel, roughly. So if you want the maximum speed from your tyres and inner tubes, Tubless or Latex is the way to go. I am nearly done in the tyre area, I promise. But my final upgrade on the wheels is the tyre pressures themselves. There's loads of calculators online. I tend to use the Silka one, but they're all pretty damn close. And just getting your tyre pressure correct is going to save you some watts again. I mean, you can save anywhere between 2 to 5 watts just by having the correct tyre pressure. Running too high is going to make you skip and jump over the road a lot, so it makes you feel fast, but actually it's slower. And running too low puts you at risk of like pinch flats and things like that. So just being in the right band will make you quicker. Now, my final upgrade in my essentials list is the chain. The chain is a super important part to your bike. It's the hardest working component on your bike, and it's completely exposed to the elements. That's why wax is so good. First of all, it's epically clean. Secondly, it's easier to clean and faster to clean a wax chain. And thirdly, it makes your chain last longer, which in turn makes all of your components like your cassette and your chain rings last longer. But this is about speed, and going from a normal lube chain can save you anywhere between 1 to 10 watts, depending on how dirty your chain is. So just having a clean chain and a wax chain at that can be a major upgrade to your bike. Losing watts through the chain, not fun. Okay, running into the next chapter now. These are upgrades that you can do or buy for yourself that are going to make your way quicker. And the first and one of the most important by a long way is your position on the bike. I believe just by going from the hoods to the drops can save about 5 watts in your position in aero speed at about 40 k's an hour, but it is a major upgrade in speed. But then if you want to save megawatts, you can then put your hands back on the hoods, drop the elbows, tuck the head in, and you're going to be saving about 25 watts there alone. It's a major improvement in speed. Now there are of course other permanent things you can do to your bike as well. For example, going lower, which is going to drop your natural body position. You can go longer, which is going to Superman you a little bit more, make you a bit more stretched out. And of course, going narrower on the bars is going to be a massive improvement to your drag as well. So a few things to consider there on position. Next up is the clothing that you wear. Now, a general rule is the tighter, the better. Usually in the wind tunnel, they test every wrinkle on a skin suit is worth about 1 watt, which is kind of a crazy number. You'll see on the track, they literally have 0 wrinkles in their skin suits. If you want to go even crazier from there, you can buy fabrics such as this that have a textured surface, which is designed to trip airflow to come around the circular parts of your body, like your arms. That will make you even quicker again. And then finally, if you want to go full aero speed with your clothing, you can get a skin suit, a combined like jersey and bib tights. That's even faster than a 2-piece top and bottom. Coming up next in kit that you can wear, aero socks. You don't need to buy like the latexy looking ones now. Still could do these, well, pretty normal looking aero socks. But they basically have this, once again, trip airflow texture on them that are designed to keep air stuck to your leg as it wraps around you. Now, the savings for these are weirdly high. They're anywhere, depending on speed, from like 3 to 8 watts. They're ridiculously good. And for a cheap upgrade, well, if you're doing a long ride, aero socks will make you quicker. Now, one that some of us don't like to do, but is practically free, that's shaving your legs. It's a really fast upgrade. Once again, over about 40 kilometers, you'll be saving about 40 seconds on average just by shaving your legs. I think this is tested by Specialized roughly almost 10 years ago now, and they were the numbers they came up with. If you want to go even further, some people shave their arms as well. That's a little bit far for me, but the legs I will do. Now finally, on the kit that you can wear that will make you faster, aero helmets. This helmet here, over 40 kilometers, is 1 minute faster than this helmet. That's absolutely wild. I'll link the test data that they have down below. I think Bike Radar did it, or was it Cycling Weekly? Doesn't matter, it'll be down below. Now, generally an aero helmet is going to be a bit smoother, a bit longer at the back to fill in the gap between your neck and your back, and there'll be less ventilation. This one's pretty damn good. I've got a review of it down below if you want to check it out, but it will make you faster. Now these next set of upgrades are primarily focused on the actual bike itself. These tend to be more expensive, but they do work very well still. And first up on my list is wheels. Now going from a shallower wheel like this to a deeper wheel like this one can be anywhere in the realm of 3 to 10 watts depending on the depth that you're going to. Most people run at about 50mm, which is like a nice sweet spot between speed and weight nowadays. But not only will the deeper wheels make you aerodynamically faster, generally speaking, if they're lighter, they make the bike feel better, sharper, snappier, more enjoyable, and they can improve the handling a little bit as well. Next on the list for me is the one-piece bar and stem. This can be, once again, a range from 2 to 5 watts, depending on speed and width and the bars. But the one-piece bar and stem is the first thing hitting the wind, so it's actually very, very important for the bike's aerodynamics. Now, this is an upgrade you'll only make later in your cycling career. I feel like once you know your position, you can commit to a one-piece bar and stem. If you don't quite have your position dialed down, then I'll probably leave off buying this one till a little bit later. Hiding cables is the next one on my list here. Now, this is going to be, again, bike dependent, but the general rule is for every 10 centimeter of exposed cable is about 1 watt lost in aero drag. So for this bike, for example, for me to fix that, I would have to go to an electronic system to solve this problem. Most bikes are electronic nowadays, especially from the mid to high range. But if you're looking for ultimate speed, like you have a time trial bike here, definitely something worth considering. This next one here is very expensive, but that is upgrading the whole frame itself. Nowadays, the aero frames on road bikes are, I think, excellent. Gone are the days where they're harsh and uncomfortable. Now, most of them, you can ride for long periods of time. They're comfortable, they handle well, they feel sharp, they feel fun, energetic to ride. So in 2025, an aero bike is pretty damn good. And again, it will make you faster. The numbers you're probably saving here are going to be anywhere in the range of like 3 to 10 watts. Again, depending on the bike you already have. But the great thing is, we have loads of choices nowadays and loads of options out there. So choose to your heart's content. Up next on my list is actually a very cheap one, and that is an aero water bottle. Now, lots of brands are doing these nowadays. Trek have the RSL bottles, Cannondale do their own aero bottles, and you can also buy independent, skinnier ones like this. This obviously is designed to fit my time trial bike here, but there are loads that are designed to work with road bikes, like I said, such as those Trek ones. Now, the gains are once again bike dependent. The bottle should fit sleekly within the frame. The bottle shouldn't be wider than the frame if you're buying an aero bottle, but you could be saving anywhere that from like 1 to 5 watts there, because the bottle effectively becomes a fairing on the frame, making it even quicker. And relatively speaking, for a bike upgrade, it can be quite cheap. My last bike upgrade that's going to make you quicker is a power meter. Now, for general riding, you don't really need a power meter, but one place where I find it really helps is for managing your effort. If you're going up a hill, if you're doing a time trial specific course, you know what power you're holding, you know what power you can hold, and it just saves you from going over it. Meaning, generally, you can hold more power on average for a longer period of time. We're on to my final category now, and these are the super niche and really expensive upgrades that make very, very small difference. They should be the last things you do on this list. So let's get into the first one of those. Number 1 on my list is ceramic bearings. Now, ceramic bearings over the full system could save you anywhere from half a watt to 3 watts. That's just going to depend on the bearings that you currently have. There are a number of other factors, such as the grease used inside the bearings, the grease fill rate, how much grease there is in the bearings, and finally, do you have contact seals on your bearings? If you have a non-contact seal, the seal that covers the bearing doesn't touch the ball bearings moving around inside, meaning there'll be less drag within that system. But generally speaking, a ceramic bearing will be a very little smidge faster than a non-ceramic one. Personally, I've tried them in the wheels and I'm not totally bothered by a ceramic bearing in the wheels, but one place I strangely do like it is in the bottom bracket there. I use these ones from Seabear and I just find they last a super long time. This is how they're spinning now after like 8,000 kilometers. So this could be placebo effect, but I think the ceramic bottom bracket does feel marginally smoother. And from my own experiences, they definitely last a bit longer. So yeah, if you're upgrading to ceramic, it's gonna be expensive, but if you're right at the top end of the sport, maybe that 1 watt could make a difference to you. The reason I use the Seabear ones here are because generally they're the same price as a very good top end steel bottom bracket. Next up on my list on running a road bike setup is going one by. If you don't know what that is, that means removing the front derailleur here and having a 1 chain setup rather than a 2 chain setup on the front there. Now, of course, that limits your gear ratios, but if you live in a very flat location, it's unlikely you're going to be using that small cog very often. So a 1 by setup, removing this can save anywhere between like 2 to 5 watts, again depending on setup, just because there's less stuff for the wind to hit. Now, a 1 by setup is generally only beneficial in those flatter areas because you're going to be sitting more in the middle of the cassette here, meaning the chain is going to be bending less, saving you watts in the chain line as well. So sticking around this area, next up would be going to a bigger chainring. Now, you have to be a pretty damn strong cyclist to justify going to a bigger chainring. But, you know, if you are Tadej Pogacar power and you're finding you're spending more time in the smaller, harder cogs down here, going bigger on the front would mean, once again, the chain is not having to work as hard at a sideways angle. It can have a straighter chain line and you can use more of the middle of the cassette. But yeah, you got to be a pretty powerful cyclist to need that. Next up are aero pedals. Now I only know of 2 brands that do aero style pedals. First of all, they're these Keo blades here that I tend to use. I just like the way they look and they feel really good for me. But as you can see, they have like a flatter bottom to them. You're probably saving less than a watt by going to these pedals, but if you're looking for those gains, you're looking for those gains. Now, Wahoo Speedplay, they also do like a very aero pedal here, but again, it's just a super niche product that's just not gonna save you much. Now, my final product on this list of the super expensive stuff is the oversized pulley wheel. Now, the way these are supposed to work is there's less bending in the chain down here, meaning the chain has to articulate less. It has to bend less to go through the system, meaning it should save you watts. The number they used to calculate was around 2 watts. I think that was before we started using wax chains. I reckon with a wax chain, we are definitely talking less than a watt by going to an oversized pulley wheel here. And well, it's bigger, so that means that more air is going to hit it. So the watt you're saving in chain losses, you're probably making back up in aerodynamic gains. They do have aero fairing ones, a few companies and brands do it, but generally you would only use that for time trial bikes. I actually have this on my bike because I like the way they look. A lot of you hate it, you think it looks garish, which I think is fair enough. But personally, I think they look quite cool. Well guys, there they are. All my speed upgrades that you can make to your bike to make it lightning fast. Let me know what you think of them. Do you think I've missed some, and do you think some of them don't work? I think that last category, I mean, the numbers are very small there. Don't miss the essentials though. Those first 5, super important. Anyway guys, if you have any specific questions, chuck them down in the comments below, or you can message me privately over here on my Instagram. I reply to pretty much everything. But I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. See you in another video.